Okay, after action report for the assault on Axehead on the 14th of November, which was a Tuesday. Uh, okay, as per usual, we'll start from the strategic level to the operational, and then we'll do the analysis of the battles themselves. This one was organized by 42nd. I'm going to show you the screenshots from the Discord because this, as far as I know, was the only kind of briefing that was given. Um, And if there was one pre-op, I wasn't aware of it. So if anyone wants to correct the record there, please do so after I post the video. But for the most part, Prophet laid out the plan very well. And I have to give props to, I'm assuming he's the guy that drew these diagrams here with the intelligence. I mean, this is very impressive. I quite like how you do it. Please let me know how you actually make these. But there's a saying in the Fourth Naval right now is that the more elaborate the intelligence reports are, the more likely that it's all going to go to shit. Because so far, in our experience, it's always the guy that just comes up with paint, with stick figures, and usually those are the most fun and successful operations. But we'll see if we can try break that kind of tradition and stigma. So we'll just go through the briefing here that Prophet laid out, and for those who don't know, this is the 4th Naval Divisions after action report. I don't know what all the other commanders or the other regiments, what their side of the story is. I have asked regarding like the details of the battles because I found that it's very important to try to get those facts right. But it's good practice, I find, to just do it from your point of view and then afterwards get everybody else's point of view and then correlate from there, so that in the event that you have to review yourself later on in the operation where you're not part of a coalition or you don't have your friends around, you'll be able to pick up on things that you miss out better, if that makes sense. Yeah, I'm digressing, but this is just the method that we have here. So it was supposed, as far as I know, it was supposed to be a follow up to the operation on Saturday. So, from my impression, it was that there was some kind of plan going on behind the scenes because I didn't see much chatter going on in the officers' chat and the operation planning. Uh, one thing that was weird on Saturday was that Third Marines actually made a whole separate Discord for that whole operation, which probably was a good thing too, because of the amount of people that showed up to get that done. Uh, the infrastructure to do so just doesn't exist, as from my point of view, because I obviously don't have access to the whole Discord. That's the way that it looked like to me. But for this one, it was slightly smaller. We only had 3 destroyers and about 6-7 gunboats from what I saw. But the plan here was to go over the exit and take it out. We weren't there to hold it. I didn't get the impression that we were supposed to hold it. Prophet here actually explains quite well later on here that, yeah, he reiterates right here the primary goal is to get the town and try to tap it. He lays out here the kind of steps that we wanted to do. So we knock out the coastal gun and then the seaport, and then after that land the landing forces to try to get the town base, which is quite close. The distance between the seaport and town base is really close, so it looked good. He wanted the gunboats to screen, which is great because that's what we at 4th Naval did for the big landing at Godscroft, and we had pretty good success there, so we were quite happy to tag along and try to fulfill that role here. Didn't go very well, but that was the main plan, that as I understood it, and as all the diagrams here indicate. We've got all the arcs of fire of all the major defenses, especially the howitzer garrisons here. And as I asked when we were staging where, and also Prophet reiterated, as I said, what the main overall goal was supposed to be. Now, this is where things start to go really wrong. So the communication. So at this point in time of recording, I've been talking to what's his name, Saucewell from Spork. Yeah, this guy here. I was under the impression that the system that was used on Saturday was the way that the coalition operated, because we only just got here. That was a very wrong assumption on my part, so that's my fault there. But as we can see here, what happened was that it was a very complete breakdown in communication between most of the regiments. Now, as I understood it, was that the in-game squad chat was the one that was going to be the main chat. So I was trying to get in there, but I couldn't get in. To which then I tried to get around that by just contacting one of the main destroyer captains. In this case, it was the KOP guy. I I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's spelled Denvis, but I'll just refer to him as Dennis from now on because that just sounds better to me. So I managed to get a Steam chat going with Dennis, and I tried to get Spork, one of the Spork guys. I'm not too sure who, uh, and Profit here onto the Steam chat so that at least we had some kind of comm system. This right here shows the part why things went wrong the way that they did. If one of the subordinate commanders of one of the minor parts has to be the one to go out of his way to try get the communication system up, things aren't going well already. But we all tried, and I actually did manage to get Profit in, and Dennis also as well. Problem is that once we did get in on it, we didn't use it. Now, from my point of view, I assume it was because everybody was using the in-game squad chat to communicate, which meant that I was completely out of the loop. I try my best to keep my position and intentions clear on the Steam chat, but as we see later on, as the video that I'm about to play out here, I didn't get anything in return. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what the intentions were of the fleet most of the time. I just had to play it by ear and try to figure out the best way to support the fleet at this point in time, which I'll try to explain how it is that we went about doing that. But yeah, this right here, definitely the biggest point to raise regarding the tragedy that occurred at the battle at Axehead. So we had another point here was the division of duties. So as Prophet explained here, it was his intention to just tap the town, which, that's a valid strategy. We just go in there, get the tech down, and if we can knock out the seaport on the way out, we knock out most of the logistics on that island there for a good 48 hours. But as far as I know, and from what I saw, we didn't actually have anybody assigned to the landing contingent. We had no combat engineers, and I didn't see a CV in a barge anywhere. So right there, to fulfill the primary objective here, we didn't have the tools necessary to fulfill that, which I don't know what happened there. And considering because this after action report is something that we give to the new guys that come into 4th Naval, never played the game or are new to Naval. I'll just explain here the way the game mechanics work. If you destroy a seaport, you don't actually destroy the stuff in it. The enemy can just walk over with BMATs and rebuild it, and all the inventory inside the seaport is still there. It's all good. The only way you can actually destroy the logistics in what we call a logistics hub, like a storage depot or a seaport, is that you have to hit the town base first. You are not allowed to rebuild the world-generated structures in a sub-region until you have control of the sub-region's town base. So that's why the tapping here is important. Now, just to clarify for all the new guys that are also joining again, tapping technically doesn't work anymore. That's been rectified by the devs. The term tapping means putting one BMAT into the world generator structure after you destroyed it and you're trying to recapture it. In the past, if you just put one BMAT, you reset the tech and the inventory inside the structure. So once you capture an enemy structure, it wipes out 75% of all the inventory in that structure. So those are the two reasons why you want to go in and tap, quote unquote. But of course, now you can't just put one BMAT. You have to rebuild the whole thing from the ground up. And after you've rebuilt the whole thing, that's when the tech resets and the inventory, 75% of it gets wiped. So by going over to Axehead or any other kind of target and just shelling the seaport, it doesn't actually achieve anything. You must get at least the tech down before you destroy it. Now, of course, in this case, you don't actually destroy the inventory either. But what you do is that by taking out the town base and getting the tech out and then destroying the seaport, it takes up to about 48 hours for the enemy to be able to get the tech back up in order to rebuild the seaport. And in that time, any reserve stockpile within the seaport basically lose their timers. So operational planning against enemy regiments, that's one way you go about doing it. That's has a strategic effect basically, but you don't quite destroy anything. but it's good enough. It's good enough. You knock out a seaport for 48 hours, no one can use it within those 48 hours, and then after it's rebuilt, all the regiments that had their equipment in there, they're all now public, so that they're unable to conduct any major operation anymore. All the public would just steal it from the from the public stockpile. Yeah, so that's the way it goes. But as I'm digressing a little bit here, but it's important to explain, especially for all the new players that are coming into the game right now. We did not have combat engineers. We did not have a CV. So once we got here, we weren't able to fulfill this mission here, right here. And considering that we ended up just going in to shell the coastal gun and the seaport, and then we lost the destroyer for that, it was a very big misplay on our part. We have to make sure that this doesn't happen again. But I think that pretty much wraps up the strategic point of view for the operation. Okay, so here's some of the minor things. So the rally point that I asked it on the day itself about 6 hours prior. So it started at 8:30. So I asked at 2:30. I didn't get a reply to that. I got replies from one of the other Spork fellas that the rally point was the terminus seaport itself. Which is, it's nothing wrong having it all the way in the backlines. But usually in the operations that I've taken part in, we usually have the rally point that's further forward, that's just behind the front line zone. So Fingers is the best spot so far in all the operations that I've taken part in. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with setting up in terminus there. And of course, as I mentioned before, I asked if there was a separate Discord because compared to the op on Saturday, the planning in terms of discussions and information given was very kind of limited. But as I said, Prophet did a good job. He got all of the main points that he needs to relay to all the commanders here. We got all the good intel. We know what he wants to do, where he wants to go. It's just the minor details of like where the rally point was supposed to be, and if there was anything else that all the commanders needed, and of course the communication system. That was the big one. But yeah, one of the reasons that I think I figured out why it took so long for him to get online to get things rolling is that apparently one of the destroyers was shot up. I don't think it was from the Saturday op, because I'm pretty sure the KSR immediately repaired that. So there was miscommunication regarding the status of one of the destroyers, and they had to go in, repair it, and get back online. So they got delayed in that part, and we got delayed from leaving terminus by a good 20 minutes or so, trying to get the destroyer back up and running. But it was a minor setback, but it most definitely is something that we have to address because it was one of the big problems that we had for the previous operation as well, is that we don't have all of our equipment on standby and ready for the staging itself, which means that it always gets delayed. And having long delays like this is not good for morale for the guys as well, because if they log on at some point and they can only play for so long, we start losing manpower very early on into an operation. So it's something that I'd like to raise so that we can address further on down the line. Yeah, okay, so that's all the strategic and the operational stuff. So what I'm going to do is just not play the whole video, obviously, but I'm just going to use the video to show the screenshots of the things that happen and then explain what happened. Just to say my point of view of what I saw, the way that it played out from my point of view. And just for all the rest of the folks, I'll just timestamp the part where I analyze the battle that occurred, because that's usually what everybody just wants to go and see. But yeah, so here we are at Terminus. We're getting the destroyer set up. The rest of the gunboats are further up the lake, which we meet up. So at this point in time right here, I'm trying to get the Steam chat enabled. So it's only about halfway through that I finally get Dennis online on the Steam chat. So around about here, 10 minutes in. Okay, that's not important here. So what happens after the bridge here is that Dennis gets lost. Now, we lose Dennis not once, not twice, but 3 times in this one single operation, which is really bad. I don't know any other kind of operation that I've been in where we lost such a big asset like that several times over. And as I said, I was under the impression that because I did ask Dennis once he got on the Steam chat, it's like, do you know what you are doing, and are you in communication with 42nd? To which he said yes, he was. He had the in-game squad chat on, which is good because as long as the destroyer is the more important part of the fleet here that needs to be in communication. If I lose my gunboat, it doesn't matter, right? It's just the gunboat. But yeah, that's the way that's what I asked him. That's what he told me. But right here, he takes a wrong turn and goes off into the north side here, which technically is nothing wrong because there's another route up at Endless Shore which you could take past two bridges to regroup north of here. But as I asked before, the rally point itself was terminus, which meant that we were supposed to have all grouped up there. But as we go further forward into the operation, there's a second rally point that gets put up, which I had no idea was there. I didn't see a marker. I didn't have comms with the 42nd not until we were in Tempest Islands, and Dennis didn't tell me anything about it. But I think he only found out slightly before I did. So there's that. So yeah, Dennis gets lost by going up north. He then retraces his steps back, comes back down here into Reaver's Pass. We head up to the oil platform here to refuel the destroyer. He said it's after this point that I managed to get Prophet on the Steam chat. But until here, I'm communicating with my recon team, Bread. It's already been deployed further forward in the Tempest Islands, and Dennis. So yes, we will continue here to try to keep track. So we lose track of the destroyer here because we get up to the hex of the tile and we cross into the adjacent one next to it. But we managed to catch up again as we see that they're going out this way. I think Dennis also gets lost a little bit. I think one of the other gunboats as well crosses at the wrong hex, but not too important because we're still technically in very much friendly territory here. My big concern starts getting once we start getting to Tempest Islands, because this right here is an actual combat zone. This is where we fought a major naval battle, and at this point in time, as far as we know, the Wardens have the ability to deploy a battleship. We haven't seen a battle. Well, as far as I know, there is no active Warden battleship on the Eastern Theater. There was one on the Western, but yeah, if we continue up here, we get into Tempest Islands. Just shortly before this. See if I can get a picture here. Yeah, here we go. So this is a situation where I'm getting really worried because this right here is not safe territory. All right, the situation is pretty much the same as it was on Saturday. And on Saturday, we had an incursion of about 12 to 15 Warden gunboats come right here in the Tempest Islands, all the way right here to this border, right? That's where our friendly destroyer got caught out in the open. That's where we had the major battle where we got in behind them and knocked them all out. So right now, we have not one, not two, but three destroyers with their gunboat escorts spread out across the entire hex. We got one group that's all the way up at a rally point, which I didn't know existed. Right on the border of the God Squad, which I'm pretty sure was the same position where we lost the 2 or 3 colonial destroyers last week to a Warden gunboat swarm. So they're out there in the open all alone. Me and Prophet, along with the Spork guys, are hanging out here on the route to the rally point there. And Dennis has, I think, one gunboat tagging along with him all the way back here at Planafada. So we're all spread out across this entire hex here. And I asked Prophet, like, I try to nudge him in the right direction to say that we have one destroyer that we've left behind not once but now twice, all the way at the back there, in a zone that we know is very dangerous. The Wardens can operate and can hit us here because this is not like a land battle here. There's no front lines. If they want, they could roll the battleship right down here and hit us, or a gunboat swarm as well, like before, and take us out because we're all spread out across. But he insists that we just keep the rally point on the northern border hex where we're going to meet up with the third destroyer, which I think was a very big mistake. Things could have gone very, very wrong right here. But he's the commander, does his command decision. But that's something I really want to raise here for the after action report. This right here was a mistake. The rally point should be just behind in the fingers or endless shore, so that we get everybody together and then deploy forward into the combat zone. Because this right here is, as far as I'm concerned, is the combat zone. So we will continue on forward. Have a lot of trouble trying to keep track of like which destroyer we're supposed to be a part of, but considering that Prophet is the main guy, I try to make sure keep our guys close to him. We run into him quite a few times trying to keep close formation to keep an eye where he's going. But those are minor problems that occurred there. So we get up here to the rally point, we get all 3 destroyers and all the gunboats together, and then we cross into God's Craft. So my scout team gets engaged by a captured colonial gunboat here with only 2 crewmen, and we quickly dispatch that. 2 of the other friendly colonial gunboats, they roll up and take care of that very easily. Let me see if we can get a picture. Okay, right. So for what I see here is that, okay, so at this point we have Dennis and Prophet on Steam chat. I've been the one asking the questions of like where they are, what do they intend to do, where they want to go. And it's around about this point that Dennis asked the questions like, where are we going and what are we doing? Which is very, very concerning. If one of the 3 destroyer captains doesn't quite understand what is going on, things are going wrong here. But I'm not waiting around anymore, because if I wait around at this point, no one's told me anything so far up to this point in terms of like the tactical situation. So I'm just gonna play it by ear the best way that I can. So I've got Bread with me, my recon team, and my gunboat here. And what we do once we cross into God's Craft is immediately go out in front of the fleet and just screen. Basically, we want to keep an eye on anything that gets deployed from the Isawa seaport and as well as Morgan's Crossing. So Bread I assign Brit to operate mainly in the center part of the hex, and what I do is I take my gunboat out further west and cover the northern flank of Axehead, because I know that we're going to attack Axehead here. So there's a blind spot between the hacked watchtower here and the border crossing here. So I maneuver myself over there and then keep a screen over there while Brit operates in and around the islands here. So that's what we do here, and everything goes fine pretty much for the next half an hour. We put the radio backpack on so that Brett knows. So we try to keep the radio backpack off until we get into the combat zone. And it's important for me, at least, because I'm operating multiple ships most of the time, and my recon guys, they can't transmit their position because of the way the game mechanics are. If you're in a vehicle position of some kind, of radio backpack doesn't transmit. So at least this way, so long as one ship has a backpack, we have a point on the map which we can coordinate around. It makes it much easier than just using map markers. Because also the map markers, for some reason, this war, they disappear in like 2 seconds every time we put it up. So yeah, there's the reasoning behind that. So I've got Brett covering this area here. He's going around having a look, this, that, and the other. He reports that there aren't any defenses in exile, aren't any at Agosa. Sagio has built up Pig Island as well. He also radios in that there weren't any defenses along the northern border, which we already knew from the intelligence reports that Prophet posted. But these are all minor things, but that's the way that we deployed our screens here. Right, here was another big one. You spent way too much time trying to get everybody all together, and quite frankly, this is the incorrect way to deploy gunboats to support a destroyer. By keeping the gunboat next to a destroyer in close formation, the way that it was deployed here, you negate all the strengths that the colonial gunboat has, because the Warden gunboat, in almost all respects, is just far superior. They're faster, the 360 turret gives them far better flexibility to engage targets, and the fact that they have their forward gunner able to shoot forward means that it's much easier to coordinate 2 gunners that have the same arcs of fire in the front. And maneuver around that way, if that makes sense. We don't have that capability with the Colonials. If we go head to head with the Warden, they've got more weapon systems that they can deploy against us where we can't do anything. The only advantage the Colonial gunboat has is that if we hit them broadside on, we can have 2 weapons firing to their 1. and that's about it. Okay, we can technically turn better at top speeds, but the Warden gunboat is faster than us, and we have the blind spot at the back. So the way that you want to deploy, and if you want to see it in action, you can see how the battle on Saturday I analyzed through the battle that had happened there. The colonial gunboats can't be tethered to the destroyer because you need room to maneuver. If the colonial gunboat is caught out slow or stationary or has no room to maneuver, he is done for. There is nothing he can do, especially against a Warden gunboat swarm. They come if they're smart and they come right at you from either the side or behind, you're done for. You're completed. There's not much you can do. They will get you out within the first salvo, and all you've done is just take one salvo hit and died for nothing after that. You have to make sure that the colonial gunboats have space to maneuver. They have to be on the flanks at a distance. The kind of distance we're talking here is like, it's not that far, like 20, 30 meters. That's all the distance you need. But you cannot have them tethered to the destroyer the way that we did here. Having them follow close whilst deploying into the combat zone here, that is important because we need the force concentration. But once we get into the battle like this and we're ready for a fight, you have to spread them out. It's the best way to do it. Otherwise, as we see later, one of the gunboat screens that covers Dennis and once they get jumped, just gets absolutely destroyed trying to keep formation with the destroyer because they are unable to maneuver. Well, from my point of view, they weren't unable to maneuver, and that's the way I think Brett saw it as well. They got caught from behind. But yeah, we'll leave that one there. But yeah, this was a mistake, and things also get worse here because we take the whole formation together right into the coastal gun. Now, from my point of view, from what I saw, I'm pretty sure we lost one gunboat. I had Polo Man, who was one of my members, who my gunboat was overcrewed by one, so we lent one hand over to one of the sport gunboats. So he was there, and he confirms that we lost one gunboat to the coastal gun whilst maneuvering up here, which was a massive mistake. That was unnecessary loss there. We already knew the coastal gun was there. We already had the intelligence with all the overlay of the fires in the briefing that Prophet posted. It was something that could have been avoided. But yeah, we lose at least one. Polo says that he saw two go down, but reviewing the footage, I can only see one disappear. But even then, because of the way that the game mechanics work, the radar echoes usually get mixed up a lot. So there's that. If anybody else from the gunboat teams there can explain like what happened there, that'll be good. I'll look forward to that. But yeah, close formation like this going to attack, not a good idea. Not a good idea at all. Oops, sorry. Okay. So we are there. Okay, so once I know that we've already deployed the fleet there, they knock out the coastal gun, so the gunboats are able to come in closer to support. Seaport goes down. They've got eyes on the shipyard. We don't need to be worried about any threats coming from Axehead at this point. The only threats that we have that can materialize from Morgan's and Isawa. So Morgan's right here from the bridge, and Seaport from Isawa. So what I do here is that I keep Brid around here. I send him on a very dangerous mission to try to check out the oil platform and then keep eyes here, because if you are able to get a scout on this platform here, you've got pretty good vision across all the channels leading out from the seaport, except from the east, of course, but we can't cover everything. We don't have enough manpower. So I sent Brit over there, and he's keeping a watch out, which is very important because we don't have any intel in that region. We have no listening kits hacked. So I send him over there. He keeps an eye out and screens that side. I, on the other hand, because I'm the gunboat after all, there's plenty of space to maneuver on this side here. I take it upon me to do the screening on the north and northwest side for the fleet. So what I do here is take the gunboat across. Well, first we clear out the hex itself. So we go across the border all the way back, make sure there's nobody lurking around here, nobody lurking around here. I've already got Brit deployed here, so we pretty much cleared this entire western part of the whole hex. No gunboats deployed, no activity, nothing. So I then make the decision to go into crossing the Morgan to have a look there. It's better to identify the threats as they appear earlier than later. So we take a short trim to Morgan's, have a look around, confirm that the east side of Morgan's here is very well built up, and they've got lots of howitzer garrisons, so we don't bother trying to do anything funny there. But all is clear in Morgan's Harbor area there. So we come back, check the border again just in case somebody bypassed this whilst we were crossing, and then took up a holding station in the same spot as before, trying to cover this blind spot between the ops bunker and the border. So that anybody crosses here or comes in from the west side here, we have early warning and we screen. I keep bread on the western side. I did redeploy bread over here once we crossed into Morgan's, because from my point of view, just if I were the wardens, if I wanted to attack Axehead, I wouldn't try going down through here. There's not a lot of room to maneuver. There's plenty more room to maneuver here, and once you get the coastal gun up, you can sort of force them into that kind of direction. And funnily enough, that's the way the wardens come down. They come down from the north side here. But let me keep on track here. We come back here, hold the north side. Once I get back here, I send bread once again back over to Isawa. He doesn't go this way. He goes around the southern route. And it's at this point that once after we had lost bread, that the Warden Gunboat Swarm comes. And I'm pretty sure that they deployed at the seaport here. Now, bread can't get irons on the seaport because binos can only go up to 100, 120 meters. That coastal gun's got 200-meter range. With the gunboat, you can. With the gunboat, you can get vision on a seaport just outside the coastal gun, which is very useful. I pulled that off on Axehead on Saturday and managed to make sure that we didn't get jumped from there whilst we were attacking Exile. But here, things went wrong at the worst possible time. I lose bread to the enemy coastal gun. He's currently redeploying. It's at this point that the Wardens do deploy their gunboat swarm, and this is where the battle begins. Okay, something else goes wrong here. The gunboat that Polo was on, that was part of Spork, I don't know what was going on here. They decided to go to the north of Protoss, to the defenses, which we already know are active, which already have howitzer garrison coverage, and they start shelling the bunker base. And they get destroyed. Polo tells me it was the howitzer garrisons, although it kind of looks like they ran into the bunker base. I'm not entirely sure. It's just how it looks like. So anybody can clarify what happened there. I don't see why we had to do that. I mean, we already knew what the state of the defenses were. Why go up there, especially under observation bunker coverage as well, and start taking shots? That was something that went wrong. So slowly, we are losing escort gunboats for the fleet to things that we shouldn't be losing them to. But yeah, okay, let's just get to the fun stuff here. So yeah, okay, I'm just gonna play the next 10 minutes or so and then pause and then walk you through the things that went through my mind as they occurred. I've got a Warden gunboat contact.
You have 2 Warden gunboat contacts.
4
Prophet is
Warden
Merlin.
gunboats.
We've got
yeah,
Warden
pull out,
gunboat swarm
pull out,
approaching from the north side of Protoss.
5.
So just to clarify what's going on here, Bread has, as I said, he died, but he came back now. He's already on station and he's taking up position south of Pig Island because trying to hold this position here is too dangerous for him. So I decided to set a screen on this side here with him to give us early warning. And I'm still in the same position that I was in. So it's at this point that Bread is already redeployed. He's on Pig Island. You hear him talking to me here. So we get the contacts come up. They're coming in really fast, staying close on the border here. I radio in the message to Dennis and Prophet that they're coming, basically. At this point, we don't know how many, but we're about to find out.
Warden gunboats.
All reverse.
Yeah.
Okay, reverse right, then go all ahead left. Never mind, continue reverse. Just direct reverse. Gunner, standby, targets, bearing 008. So the reason why here that I'm backing up instead of going forward and turning around 180, which would have been much faster to get us back to the fleet, is that as far as I can tell, there are 5 gunboats, right? And there's no battleship, no submarines that we've detected or anyone has seen. We have, as far as I know, 3 destroyers and at least 4 other gunboats that are behind me. So from my point of view, I don't see why we are not taking this fight. I mean, we are far away from the coastal gun, which has at this time been rebuilt, that's true, but with plenty of distance between us and them if we choose to fight them here. We've got more than enough firepower, and we've got everyone in the right position. I'm in the screen here that's backing up, so I'm already on station, ready for the fight. All I need is the cavalry to come in behind me, and boom, we got them all caught out in the open. But that is not what happens here. So I'm just explaining it here for the 4th Naval guys who definitely are asking is like, why are you doing this, Merlin? Because half the crew at this point just want me to run, and everybody else that would be watching this is probably thinking the same thing, that this is a bad situation to be in. But that's the way that it looks like in my mind. We've already got the screens. I've already got Braid covering the other side. We've got no activity from Morgan's. We have no activity on the eastern side. This is the only threat that has occurred and that has emerged. Sorry, from Isawa. We can only see 5, but that's even if they had like an extra 2 more, we have more than enough firepower to deal with it. So that's why I'm backing up here. Just, in my mind, I assume that we're gonna fight this, but that's not what happens here. Left rudder, left rudder. Still rudder, continue reverse. Gonna stand by, front. Contact bearing 015, range 200.
Merlin, be advised, this is Bread. I'm watching our allies abandon you.
Understood. So, like I said, we have the Steam chat on. I have tried multiple times to point Prophet or just nudge him in the right direction just regarding the things that I'm concerned with. I have deployed my guys at the screen to provide intelligence, make sure that the fleet doesn't get jumped. We're lucky here that the wardens aren't too bright, or they don't know that we hacked that observation bunker, so they're coming right towards us through watchtower range, so we could see them coming up forward. I'm already on station here on the flank, so we already have one gunboat in between the large ships and swarm. And we were, as far as I knew at the point, because I'm more concerned about the gunboats, I wasn't paying too much attention to the watchtower coverage, which I will admit this part here is my mistake. I'm gonna explain why, but I wasn't paying too much attention as to what our guys were doing on the map, because I thought that at this point in time somebody would tell me something because we're about to be engaged. But it's my recon guy who's coming over from the east side from his flank to come support me, who then tells me that we're running away. And that is the first time and the only time that I realized that we're all alone here. We've been abandoned. So at this point, as far as I know, like I said, I assume Dennis is talking to the rest of the fleet on the squad chat, because I haven't heard any chatter going on the Steam chat. So I assume that everyone is bugging out, which is why I make the decision to bug out. And this is where my mistake comes in. I don't check properly to see if all the ships pull out, because Dennis gets left behind. Or again, as I said, this is the 3rd and last time that he gets left behind. And basically, here, I technically failed my screening job because we leave a destroyer behind. It's pretty fucking bad, but yeah, I'll play the rest of the clip. Okay, continue reverse, left rudder, crosses when ready. We need to get the fuck out of here. Gunner target bearing 040 is heading direct south. Once you cross, get us the fuck out of here. They just left us.
The ship through with just ran off and left us?
Yes.
What the fuck?
So it's right here that I completely missed this dot right here. That they've been right in that position for the last 30 seconds or so, and they haven't moved. That should have told me that something was very wrong going on here. But once again, I don't know who of the 3 destroyers that is. I don't know what's going on, except that everybody just cut and run. So I'm trying to get my guys out of here, try to get Bread redeployed onto the east side here, away from the coastal gun, so he gets eyes on. But yeah, once I see everyone's running, I'm not taking this fight, because why would I take a 1-on-5 fight if I'm all alone? I'm not doing that. But of course, there is a destroyer here which I didn't see, so I'll just carry on. Hang on, I'll stop.
Crossing.
I don't want to work with those guys ever again. That's shitty.
Turn this around.
Merlin, did you make it safely into Stilken Shelf?
Roger that. But we have crossed into Stilken. We are going to head towards Port of Rhyme. Hard left rudder take us
No problem.
to
Should we
the
regroup
Port
with you
of
there?
Rhyme. Yes. Actually, no. Are you still good on fuel? But are you still good on fuel?
A firm, we are 60% plus the extra. We're fine.
Okay, could you keep an eye on that gunboat swarm if you can? Keep your distance.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay,
A
helm
firm,
left
do you
rudder,
know-
hit direct
they're
southeast.
engaging the destroyer, the individual. We'll go check it out.
Is at this point then I finally realized that, oh my god, we have a destroyer that's still left out here, and we also have a friendly gunboat that's screening. So right here, instead of going by Port of Ryan, I change and try to get back to the border and follow them parallel, and then just see what we can do. But I mean, at this point, it's really bad. And yeah, oh my god, one of the destroyers got caught out.
It looks like there's a gunboat doing screening, but I don't have much hope for that destroyer.
Roger that, understood. We're gonna try and engage them. Guys, we're gonna try to be the heroes in this story, so stand by for action.
Oh shit.
Let's go.
Okay, so the very kind of out of characteristic kind of statement to make there. A lot of hubris, a lot of ego. But if we're gonna be real, the real heroes are that one gunboat that stuck around with Dennis that got absolutely destroyed right about here just now. They just completely faded off the radar map. I don't know who that was, but let me know who you were, because props up to you guys. But as I said before, trying to keep the gunboats in close formation and destroy like that, it's not the proper way to do the screening. You have to have room to maneuver. Otherwise, if you get jumped, right, and they're coming in straight at you with 6 gunboats, you die in the first salvo. There's nothing you can do about that. But yeah, let's continue here. So yeah, I make the decision now that we're gonna go in because I see an opportunity, basically. As far as we know, this is it. This is the only gunboat swarm that's here. We haven't seen any other activity. I've already got my scout on station, and he's got eyes on the enemy fleet here. We also now, as I now know, that the destroyer is here and he's running and he needs help. Now we're on the other side, and considering the way that they maneuvered when we got visual contact with them on the other side of the border, I'm pretty sure they didn't see us because they didn't make any moves or maneuvers to try and counter us whatsoever. It could be that they saw us running away and they just ignored us. But as far as I can tell right here, right now, that they don't know I'm here. I'm behind them. The destroyer needs help. So there's a good chance that we can get an attack in here on that gunboat swarm as they're coming in to attack destroyer. So that's what I'm going to do here.
Oh, let's go.
Red, high left rudder. Go direct east. Crosses when ready.
Are we
All
just trying
gunners
to
stand
keep
by.
them
We're going combat comms, action stations. But we're gonna be the heroes, so we're gonna cross over. We are crossing right now into Godscroft. Can you give us eyes on any gunboats that are waiting for us here?
We are making our way. I'll give you good chords.
Shambo, you there? Start scanning the horizon. So the reason I have to justify the situation here is because there's quite a lot of people in the 4th Naval that would definitely disagree with what we're about to do here. I mean, I know half the gunboat crew here pretty much disagree. This is a very reckless and rash decision that we're making here. We're about to go into a 1-on-5, possibly 1-on-6 with a destroyer that's probably at this point been shot to shit. We already lost one gunboat in the first salvo, as we saw earlier. I showed you. The blip just disappeared off the radar. But as I said, there's opportunity here. We are behind them. We have the element of surprise. I am very confident that this is an attack that we could pull off, and we did pull off. But I have to explain myself to the rest of the boys back home in the Discord. This is the reasoning that I had here for taking on such a fight like this. But yeah, let us continue. Oh, and at this point in time, I completely disregard the rest of the fleet. As far as I know, no one has been willing or trying to communicate. and we're the ones that have been trying to make sure we keep the screens up, keep the destroyers intact. Everyone has just cut and run, so I'm just gonna go in and try to do as much as I can.
Merlin, be advised, I think that destroyer is done for.
I'll hit. Keep us moving, Red, like we talked before. Just keep an eye out for that coastal gun. Right rudder, head southeast. So having those two friendly scout boats there is pretty good, because even though they aren't actually giving out intelligence, I'm pretty sure those were the fellows that were making the markers there. But even then, if they weren't the guys making those markers, if something big pops up behind us, we have somebody there that will put up a marker. I have a little faith in our teammates in that respect, that if something actually does happen, they'll put up a marker. You can't always trust, like I said before, the markers and the reliability of the intelligence that they convey, but it's better than nothing. So I've got 2 extra scout teams screening me on the left and behind here, which is good. That's the most important part that I want to keep an eye on. I've got Bread, who's currently shattering the gunboat fleet and has got eyes on the destroyer. He makes another call saying that, as far as he is concerned, that destroyer is dead as hell. But yeah, I'm still going in anyway, because why not? There's at this point that probably most of the other officers would have also just cut and run, because we're only 1 gunboat against 6. There's not much we can do, but props up to the KOP guys. They just stay in the fight for as long as they can. They get all the guns working, so we get in behind and we start helping take out the gunboats as they're engaged.
Apologies, I'm back.
Keep an eye out on the horizon. We're about to engage.
Roger. Dead ahead.
Yeah, help me keep an eye to in front and to the left. Okay, we're gonna do a drive-by, guys. We got him by the rear. Helm right rudder, make your bearing 163, all ahead.
Merlin, be advised, this is Bread. We got taken out by an unknown enemy.
Roger that, understood. Now this happens a lot, and to all the recon guys in my my regiment, don't be disheartened when you die, right? Because technically you are expendable. let's be fucking real. You're just a motorboat with 2 guys. But so long as you give me all the information that I need at the critical point in the battle, that is it. Because I mean, for the last operation and this one here, everything has been carried by the recon guys. If we did not have the reconnaissance guys, everything would have gone like, man, we would have been caught out there 5 minutes early and just died for no reason. We wouldn't be in the situation where we are now. And for Saturday, there was a bunch of other maneuvers that we pulled off that couldn't have been pulled off without the reconnaissance guys. I mean, the massive force multiplier just having a recon team or 2 out on the open, especially guys that know what they're doing, because it's not easy to do reconnaissance, especially in the combat zone like this, where we've got enemy defenses on the majority of the islands and warden gunboats roaming around. It's not easy at all. But yeah, so Brett goes down here, but it's all right. He's giving me everything I need to go into this fight. So yeah, I'm gonna continue with the fight here.
Our last known location was
Contact bearing 153, multiple contacts. Helm, standby. Starboard gunner, standby.
Between the Axehead and the Exile. I'm not too sure what.
Helm hot left rudder, make a course bearing 130. Gunner targets bearing 139, range 144, closing. Okay, so my plan here is simple. The destroyer has got its back up against the map border. All the gunboats have swarmed in and are pouncing like right onto him. So we got them by the rear. As I've said before, you can't go toe-to-toe stationary with the Colonial gunboat. You can do that with the Warden gunboat, but not with the Colonial gunboat. So we're going for a drive-by attack here. Hit and run. We're going to go in here at an angle and go off to the east. And as we're driving by, we're just going to fire everything we've got. And then once we've passed them, we'll swing around again and do it again. Gunner, target bearing 150 stationary. Starboard gunner, standby. Range 50, you should have shot. Slowed us down to half speed, Red. Fire will, fire will. So we have a slight problem here. Illumi forgets that this is a 20 mil, not a 30 mil. So he's reloading after every shot. I have to reiterate this because this is like the third time that I've seen it happen. So this is for all the new guys that are coming on to to what is Foxhole Naval Warfare. The 20 millimeter ATR is a 10 round magazine weapon, right? You can fire away 10 times before you need to reload. That's important. But Illumi gets 2 good shots off here on that gunboat, and it goes down after this pass here. But Cowpox here, he just goes ham on the port side gun and just absolutely unloads on this other guy. Hot left fighter, all hit. Good kill, good
One
kill.
down. We're good left.
Hot left fighter, get us around this carcass, get us around to the other side.
Our own people are shooting us.
Yep.
Okay,
they're
second
idiots.
gunboat is down. Dennis Merlin, are you alright? So that's me trying to talk to Dennis because, like I said, I didn't know which destroyer was the one that got caught out here, but it is Dennis here. So once I know that that is the case, I already have a comm channel open. I'm trying to use it. The problem is that Dennis doesn't reply to my messages, which I completely understand because as far as I could tell, the way it looks, he's been caught out in the open and abandoned by everybody. He's in a fight for his life. That destroyer is in a very bad shape, and as we see later, they eventually do go down. So if he doesn't reply, no problem whatsoever. I'm at this point, we've already killed those 2 guys, and what I'm going to do here is to reset my screen onto the north side of him to try and intercept anybody else that's trying to jump in. But yeah, no replies there, but this is how it is.
Alright. Reloading.
Contacts behind us, helm hard right, brother. Then this Merlin, we're swinging around to support you again.
Friendly.
Okay, I got warning gun. So there, I radio it back in. I'm not too sure who these fellas are. I'm pretty sure they were with the destroyer that was at the rally point at the very beginning at the Hex border. But at least they show up, you know. Yeah, they come in, make one pass, and then what we're gonna do here is we're gonna swing around, get in behind again, and then knock out this this gunboat. So yeah, I radio in the den that we're sticking around this time. We're not gonna leave you. But it doesn't do much. It's too late at this point. They've taken too much damage to the destroyer. Gunboat contact bearing 158. He's heading southwest. Continue hard right, rudder helm. Make your course bearing 190.
You have friendlies in the area.
Single gunboat contact bearing 180. Gunner standby. Target bearing 182. He's stationary now. Continue hard right, rudder.
Gunboat still, destroyer still engaged by the gunboat.
Continue hard right, rudder helm. Make your course bearing 219. Still rudder. Gunner target bearing dead ahead. Okay, right rudder, make your course bearing 250. What's dead ahead. Port side gunner, stand by. Fire will. Good kill. So I've explained this before, but I'll just explain it again. There's a little trick that we know when we're in a close quarter situation with a water gunboat. All you need to do if you're coming up against one, if you're in an angle like this, you just nudge either the bow of the ship or the rear of the ship and then put them on the broadside. Because at that point, then we have the advantage. We can deploy the turret, which has angles to either direct left or direct right and a little bit behind. And we also have the side gunners who get shots on. So once we get up here and we nudge him to the side, his rear gunner and the front gunner can't hit us. Only the mortar cannon can. Obviously, it's a very minor detail in this battle here, but the previous battles that we fought, where we figured out this trick, it was very, very helpful and very useful in evening the odds against the Wardens in a close quarter situation like this. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention that. So this is the last gunboat here that we kill. The rest of the entire fleet's been dead. But yeah, we'll just continue it a little bit longer.
Out of shot.
We got your back then, you alright?
The
Friendly's
fuck is
on
the
left.
other gunboat?
Yeah, he's not alright. You can tell by the water line how bad the flooding is. Jesus Christ.
Sure.
Right rudder, make your course bearing 000. Yeah, just hit direct north. Slow us down to half speed. So I'm resetting my screen here. So we're gonna patrol this area right around here. We get eyes on the, just in case somebody, because they've rebuilt the seaport whilst we've been engaged. If they build a gunboat and start deploying them from here, we need to be in between the destroyer and that. And of course, if they're smart, if they want to deploy another swarm, they'd come from this angle here. They wouldn't come from this same spot. At least if I were the commander. So we're gonna just circle around a circuit like this. But the problem is, as I've said, I can't get any comms with Dan because he's got his hands full. But this is where Bread, once again, Mr. Recon Man, comes back and saves the day. Let me skip a little bit further up.
Thank God, and kept reloading.
Part of.
Sorry, destroyer ping on the map.
Managing damage control.
Tank gun and kept reloading after each shot. and
Oh,
realized,
no.
Wait, yeah, I
Well, now you
realized.
know.
Oh wait, this is 20 millimeter. I can just keep shooting.
This is basically. This is the error I made on my first op I was a part of.
Yeah, I forget because I'm used to
But this
grabbing
Melvin, we are
anti-tank
alive. We
guns
have
and
3
shooting from on
kills.
top of a
I'm not sure
entrenchment
about
or
the
something.
status of the friendly
same.
destroyer.
My first op with like the
Nice one,
AC
Merlin.
with 20 mil,
The
and
destroyers
after
are
first
currently
shot I
hiding
started
in
building.
the border.
Alright, here
underneath.
comes. Can you check whether the damage destroyer is alive or the sinking? I can't contact the guy on board. I think he's managing damage control.
I will check now. We're running on petrol. We should go quick. But I do not see a second ward. So sorry, destroyer ping on the map.
Roger that, understood. I think that. Okay, so when it comes to the destroyer pings, right, you can't really trust it all the time because there's lots of bugs regarding even when they're docked or anchored, they just disappear. And especially when you're that close to the border, when they switch over, there's a good couple of cycles on the watchtower coverage where it just disappears out of nowhere when they are actually still there. But I'm not going to go and get the visual contact on them because I need to screen destroy in the event that they are actually still alive and they're still okay. I cannot, like I said before, be sitting next to them in the event that another attack occurs. I have to be ahead or in front, in between, with room to maneuver in order to effectively defend them. So this is where Brett comes back in. He's redeployed back in action. So I send him instead to go have a look and see what's going on. So this is like one of the rare situations where reconnaissance is used in like a defensive kind of support role instead of actively searching or identifying threats. It's a very niche kind of mission that comes along in situations like these. But yeah, for all the wannabe recon guys, this is something you can expect to do moving forward. But Red goes in, has a look, and they go down. And I know they are gone because Dennis just leaves the Steam chat at this point. I don't blame the guy. Yeah, that pretty much ends the battle here. We find a sticky barge, a Warden sticky barge that is moving from south to north. As far as I know, they weren't part of the main attack, but I think they just came along as like a second wave to support the gunboats. I don't think they were part of them, but we knock out an enemy sticky barge with 5 guys on in just a few minutes after this point here, as they were retreating back in the exit. We take a couple of hits. We then disengage after we get the kill, hit the port of Rhyme. There we have another skirmish with another Warden gunboat that made an incursion into Port of Rhyme. We didn't kill him, but we shoot him away. And that ends the battle for us, basically. Prophet DMs me on Steam saying that they want to take it out again for another sortie, but they then changed their minds. By the time I read the message, they've already changed their mind. It's not happening. So, yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. So, yeah, not good. Considering what we committed, what we lost to what we wanted to achieve, things went wrong things just went wrong. We did for the destruction of the seaport and the coastal gun for like the good 10 minutes that we knocked them out. For the trade for a destroyer, yeah, you guys can do the math on that. So yeah, that's the end of this after action report. If anybody can tell me their side of the story, I would very much like to hear it so we can get it all straight. But as I said, this was the 4th Naval Division's perspective. The only other extra information I've been able to get is from Dennis, the commander of the destroyer, my guy that was on one of the sport gunboats, and yeah, I think that's about it really. Yeah,